Howdy. Yeah. Happy Mag. Woo! Welcome to Pixel Pushups, the wildest crossover you never dreamed. My name is Dano Hernandez, and I have done other panels at MAGFest before, mostly about communication. This is my first time doing anything about fitness, and I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, because I see a lot of people that are way bigger than me. So, yeah, let's get started. If I had my thing. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. First, a little bit about me. I can establish some credibility or deniability, whatever it is, not credibility. And then I want to take you through a timeline of how I've kind of decided to dissect the world of fitness and gaming. It starts off in a divergent era, to emergent, to convergent, and something else. It works. My name is Dano, and you've never heard of me. I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not an Instagram guy, I'm not a fitness influencer, I'm not a gamer, I'm a nobody. I'm just a guy who likes to come to MAGFest and a bunch of other conventions. But I have been playing video games for a very long time, from Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Just beat Baldur's Gate 3 last week. That was pretty tight. That's Game of the Year worthy. I live in Colorado, where I'm a systems engineer for a company that puts internet on private jets. So I don't know, does that still count as like himbo status? Because that's what I'm shooting for. Too much? Himposter, as they call it. And I have been lifting for a good number of years. Fitness has been a really important part of my life since 2019. Those are actually my arms on the end. It's a little bit cropped, but yeah, I think I came a long way, and I got something to show for it. But what I'm not is a doctor or a physical therapist or any kind of physiology expert. So please, if there is anything about this that compels you to start your own fitness journey, talk to a fitness professional, a doctor, somebody who's actually qualified to give advice. I'm just the guy who's excited about this. And the other thing that I am enthusiastic about is all bodies are different, all bodies are beautiful. If you feel like you could start something new, you feel like you could be a little bit better, that's for you and only you. I think you are so cool the way you are, and I'm just happy to have you here. Dab. And this is also me as a baby, aren't I cute? And I talk about this because this is a really interesting story, I think, at least with respect to what I'm going to talk about with fitness and video games. I'm half Puerto Rican, half white. I'm a kid. I like video games. I like fitness. Growing up, I was always too much of one to be not the other. I was too Puerto Rican to be like the white kid. I was too white to be the Puerto Rican kid. My Spanish is atrocious. Do not test me. I will cry. And this is something that I've kind of wrestled with for a long while, the idea that I could be one but not the other. And why? Well, that's kind of like how it was in the early days of fitness and video games. In this divergent era, pre-1980, let's call it, you had this post-industrial area of nerd versus jock, and it was reflected in the culture and in the technology, not just in gaming, but everywhere. I'm parched, forgive me. I actually went to the gym to get a quick pump before this. I tried anyway. Coming out of the divergent era, we have the emergent era, this kind of rising technology and shift in culture that kind of gives way to the convergent era and eventually synthesis. But we're going to start with the divergent era, and this is a series of like news clips to give you an idea. If you weren't alive back then, I see most people here are not like 100 years old, so you probably didn't live this. But there were, back in the rising kind of video game era, there was this culture divide where if a Pac-Man machine was installed in a deli, parents and teachers would be alarmed at what it would mean for their school's varsity football program. And this stuff too. Is it actually gonna go? No, it's not. So we're gonna try it this way. Oh, don't do this to me. One moment. You know what? This is awesome. I'm loving this today. You know what? We don't need this particular video. What it is it's a series of news clips and interviews with parents that are giving their kind of testimony as to their reservations about video games being installed and what it means for the role in their family life, in their kids' life, in the community's life. And they're very hesitant. They're very reluctant to kind of give way to this. They're curious because video games are fun and cool. But they're not quite ready to give up what they already have, what they know. They have this idea that video games are a waste of time compared to school or sports. And another clip that was in there was Revenge of the Nerds. Sure, nerds were a huge part of pop culture even back then. But you couldn't be a nerd and a jock. You could only be one. And whichever one you were, the other side was your enemy. And the last thing that was in there was a commercial from Atari where they have sports games for the 2600, and it featured Mario Andretti, Pele, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So you think, hey, maybe sports games are a real thing. Maybe there's a real presence here. Not really. This was also the era shortly after or kind of during Star Wars. Sports games were never going to take the mantle away from something like sci-fi or fantasy or adventure when it comes to video games. I really hope that any future audio works because I have something hilarious later. After Divergent era, we have the Emergent era, which is when video games started. The very beginning, like your first day walking into the gym, started doing something. But first, you're gonna do something for me, if you want. Can you throw me that backpack? Can I take that for a second? And Tony, do you want to come up and help me? Anybody who wants to, I'm going to show you how to do a quick exercise that you can do like right here, right now, or wherever you are. Holding your merch bag, assuming you made it to the marketplace and it wasn't completely swarmed. Tony, do me a favor, hold it directly in front of you, and then lift your arms up until they are parallel to the ground, and then lower them slowly. Go ahead, stand up if you want. Stand up and do it. If you got a merch bag and
I got a chair.
A chair! A chair is actually a great option.
One hand. One thumb.
You're so strong.
Yes.
This is chaos and I love it. Okay, thank you. You can put your chairs and your bags down. Y'all are now fitness experts. Thank you for letting me use your bag. And Tony, thank you for being a volunteer for me. So, what muscle did that work? Not the big people, not you guys. So, it challenges your lower back for stability, but you're gonna feel a lot of it in your pecs. Right? Am I right, big people? Ish. Close enough. I've got to keep looking at you guys like the whole time. Like, fact check me. So the Emergent era. We had this thing called the Amiga Joy Board in 1983. Think of it like a Wii balance board, but 1,000 times lamer. It was effectively an Atari 2600 joystick replacement that had two games for it, Mogul Maniac, which was sort of a skiing simulator, and Off Your Rocker, which was glorified Simon Says. Because in this emerging era of video games were not particularly sophisticated, complex, or compelling. So if your idea of a good time is standing and rocking back and forth like you're a little bit uncomfortable, you liked the Joy Board. It wasn't explicitly designed for fitness either, and this is the only real game that came out for it. Yeah, it's about as fun as it looks. But it was endorsed by a professional, an Olympic skier named Susie Chaffee, who said, if you put your whole body into it, you can really work up a sweat. No, you can't. Don't lie to me. And it wasn't a commercial success. And it wasn't even a fitness focus, but it did show what was possible. It was that foot in the door. And I think that's why this thing, as terrible as it is so important to this idea of emerging from, or emerging into the crossover of fitness and gaming. I only pick a few of these peripherals. I don't pick all of them. There's a lot more to it, but I picked the ones that were more interesting and fun. So next up, I've got the Famicom Family Trainer, also known as the NES Power Pad. And this was, oh, please tell me this is gonna work. Yeah!
Ready for the most challenging Nintendo system ever.
Ready? Let's do it.
The new Power Pad. It's only available in Nintendo's new Power Set. Now you're playing with body power. You gotta run, jump, faster, higher. The Nintendo Power Pad puts you in total control. You are the game. You are the power. Now you're playing with power, body power. You get the Power Pad, Control Deck, Zapper, and 3 games only in Nintendo's exciting new Power Set.
I wanted one. I never got one, but I wanted it. And so yeah, it came out in 1996. There were, I think, a total of 11 games released for it. 5 of them were really fitness or aerobics focused. And it sold 500,000 units in North America, which is a far sight more than the Amiga Joy Board, which, if my math is right, sold about 12. And the thing that made this kind of fun, especially compared to the Amiga Joy Board and watching that shift over time, is it actually had fitness-focused games. This is a GIF from, I think it's called Dance Aerobic Trainer. And it's sort of a predecessor to the DDR pad. And it challenged you and your speed and your coordination and your flexibility. And Athletic World, which somebody is going to tell me how much that cart actually goes for. It's one of the rarest in the world, or the rarest in the world, and it sells for like, I don't know, a bajillion dollars. It did have things like, hey, if you're this age or this gender, try doing this. It was trying to give fitness guidance in a very crude way. So it did have some kind of fitness, I don't know, value? And it was good enough that in 2007, Nintendo revised it, or revised fitness games where you're like a Central Park cop and you shoot people who litter. I think. So it was a modest commercial success. It didn't like, it wasn't the barnstormer that something like the Wii was, but it moved units. And it was the first earnest attempt to bridge the gap between fitness and gaming. That said, it was still remarkably easy to cheat. And in this kind of divide where we have games and fitness, if you want to have fun before you are worried about your fitness, you're not going to stand up there and like dance around on the pad. You're going to get down on your knees and whack it. And that was the more prevalent form of using the NES Power Pad. From the NES, let's get super to the SNES Exertainment Bike. Has anyone ever heard of this or seen this? Yeah? This is an exercise bike, a stationary bike. It was the product of a partnership between Nintendo and Life Fitness. Life Fitness is still a company that exists. They make halfway decent cardio products. I'm getting a fact check. Do they still make halfway decent cardio pro? You're big. You don't do cardio. It's fine. And there were two models, one that had the built-in CRT, one that did not. At $799 for just the bike, didn't even include the TV or the Super Nintendo, that put it kind of not in many homes, but it was in a handful of commercial gyms. The CEO of Life Fitness said that this was designed to solve, and this is going to be important for a handful of points that I bring up, designed to solve the problem of exercise being boring. How does it do that? Well, they try to make a fun game. You have a bike game. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to pedal. And you can't really steer with the thing, so it's got a thumbstick to like steer you left and right. And the incline of the bike changes with the incline of the track. So that was kind of a neat little feature. The commercial gym also had some more sophisticated metrics that it was able to calculate your calories burned, speed, heart rate, other metrics like that. But about this idea of the problem, that it's boring. And here's the problem with that problem. If you already enjoy going to the gym, are you bored? No. No. It's no. It's not a problem because you're already there. And chances are you're probably already an enthusiast about it. And if you're playing games, do you really care about getting into fitness at this point? No. You just want to have fun. You want to play something fun. Either way, it's still this era where you either have a fitness product or you have a fun video game. You do not have both. Not yet. They're still finding it, or trying to. It also had more lofty ambitions, lofty promises. They wanted to make a treadmill, a recumbent bike, which a recumbent bike is that bike for lazy people, where you, I almost fell down, where you have to like lie down and pedal like this. Like you can't decide if you want to take a nap or exercise. And it was endorsed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people. How and when and why, I don't know. It was just a blurb that somebody said somewhere, so it's included in this content. It could be false. I don't know. Somebody fact check me. Curiously, this led to one of the very first studies on the efficacy or utility of fitness in video games. Could people lose weight by playing a video game? Inconclusive. They did see some promising early results, but science being what science is, small sample and not a lot of experiments actually conducted. But they were asking the question, could it be done? Nobody was even asking the question before that. They were just kind of like, oh yeah, you can work up a sweat by wiggling side to side. But this actually aimed to answer the question scientifically. Accessibility is another thing that I'm going to talk about as a main point in the convergent era, because every single thing that they're doing in this emergent era, they're taking a product, they're doing something with it, and they're learning from their failures. One of the big failures of this was that it wasn't very accessible for a lot of reasons. One, it was $800 in 1991 dollars. That's like $300,000 now or something. And even though there was kind of inconclusive results, there were early promising models that said, hey, maybe we can get something fun that helps you lose weight. Guess what? You're doing calf raises now. Calf raises. Calf raises. Here's my. Oh yeah, you can use stairs if you want to get hard with it. My favorite thing about calf raises is that look, this is my dream, and I need somebody to make this happen for me. It is my dream that I'm gonna be walking around the arcade and I'm gonna see people like waiting in line, bobbing up and down like this, because you came to my panel and you said, calf raises are free, leg day is easy.
I actually did so many calf raises, I had to walk like this for about a week.
Yeah. I like calf raises. They do get you, get you a little bit firm. Again, the premise here is partially because, I don't know, I'm trying to like use the TikTok model where people's attention spans don't last very long. But also promote this idea that you don't need to go to the gym to get a good workout in. Well, it helps. But you don't need to go to the gym to get started. You could do this at home. You could do this waiting in line to play Killer Queen because you know there's going to be a long line. Anyway, shifting gears from the from the emergent era to the convergent era. Recap. Divergent. You can't be both a jock and a nerd at the same time. And whichever one you are, the other one is evil and bad and needs to be defeated. The emergent era is, well, yeah, but what if? What if we could? Why not try? And the convergent era is not just the result of learning from those mistakes, but it's also a shift in culture and the technology available. I mean, no, but the joyboard's bad. The joyboard's real bad. But imagine we could not have the joyboard, we could not have something like Wii Fit without the joyboard first. What am I doing? I worked really hard on this PowerPoint. I feel pretty good about like the smoothness of the animations and stuff. Thank you. Yeah! As long as you're having fun, I'm having fun too. So this convergent era, defined by lessons learned from the divergent and emergent era, how do we make gamers into athletes or athletes into gamers? And also kind of questioning, do we really need more simulation things? A lot of the games up to that point were aerobics dance trainer. You're running in the Olympics. How come there were no real solid arcade experiences? And this is the last one is a term that I'm gonna hammer on in a minute. We'd made this shift from exertainment to exergaming. Marketing people. If you work in marketing, I'm sorry. Exertainment was the term that the Life Fitness CEO used, and exergaming was just kind of this sort of organic shift. And one of the best examples of this is Wii Fit in 2007. This was a game that was bundled with the balance board. What is the balance board? It is a peripheral, about the size, shape, and weight of a bathroom scale. But it is much more sophisticated than the Joyboard. And this game was so good that Nintendo re-released it 2 years later with the additional content already bundled in, and it was the 14th best-selling game of all time. I don't mean the 14th best-selling game on the Wii. I don't mean the 14th best-selling game in October. I mean of all time. It was that, is it? Minecraft is number one? I mean, I'm not shocked. But yeah, 14th best-selling game of all time. So it had broad appeal. Why? Well, let's take a look at one of the commercials. He said, hoping it would play. Oh, don't do this to me. You know what? I'm taking a hot minute. Do more calf raises.
Your feet are going to be like this. They're going to start at this position. And then you just squeeze them all the way out. So you're getting extra, there's extra stretch. Between here and here. I was already scared. I was about to G-rated. I guess you pointed at the corner. Especially the latest time. Oh, really?
Okay, thank you for doing calf raises while I fix this. Woo! Y'all are great. MAG is probably my favorite event of the year because everyone's just so cool. And yeah, I'm real happy that y'all are here and that y'all let me talk to you about fitness and gaming. Let's watch a commercial about We Fit. Oh, you're kidding me! One more try.
Third time's the charm.
There, you like this.
I actually worked at Toys R Us in 2007. 2009 on Hanging Out.
Yeah?
I seen people fight.
For the We Fit, like fisticuffs over a We Fit.
Almost to the point of fisticuffs, yes.
I guess they were practicing.
Yeah. They're getting their wee belt this
This signal on the projector right now.
We might have done that intentionally. I wasn't as it wasn't started when it was plugged in. And I heard if you're playing that
You know what? I have an idea that I think might make this work. And it's a bad idea, but I'm gonna do
I
it.
see what he's doing. I mean, whatever works.
Nobody look! Nobody screen peek!
shield your eyes.
Oh, it's not doing the thing I want it to do.
Video file, like with the PowerPoint.
It's local, yeah. Like it's embedded in the PowerPoint, but I think it's
Really bad luck with that, my PowerPoint.
I literally just got done doing a dry run without internet and everything to make sure.
Would internet help?
I don't think so.
Wi-Fi here's terrible.
Why is
Well, it's all local.
why is it still extending instead of duplicating anyway? Is it duplicating? Have I tried turning it off and on again? I should.
You tried additional timelines.
I should.
Put it right. Try turning it to one level.
You know what? There we go. Awesome!
Okay.
Nobody blink.
Custom workouts and fun new games. Get some fit in with We Fit Plus. Rated E for everyone. Wii console now just $199.99.
Is it? It's weird, cause like, why is it doing this? Okay, if I try this, okay. I'm gonna make you watch it, the whole thing again.
Rated E for everyone.
Because the point I was trying to make
$9.99.
was why was this the 14th best-selling Wii game of all time? Blue Ocean. And if anybody was following the launch of the Wii up when they were still calling it, I think, Project Revolution, they might remember what Blue Ocean was. And I can't remember if it was Reggie who kind of coined the term. And it was this idea that, stop playing the video. 2006. What were the three major console releases of that era? 2005/2006.
Xbox 360,
Xbox 360, PS3, and Wii. One of these things is not like the other. The Wii was not designed to compete with the Xbox 360 and the PS3. It was designed to go after non-gamers. Everybody's grandma was playing Wii Sports bowling or tennis or something like that. Wii Fit fell into that model perfectly. It was a fitness game for not gamers. But did it actually contribute any fitness value? Well, it did have 40 plus some odd exercises that tried to promote strength and flexibility. And part of this kind of emergence in technology was the kind of advent of big data. There was more data to be found. There was more data to be had. There was insights to be gained and formed and divined. So We Fit tried to leverage some of that. How many calories did you burn? How long did you work out for? What's your BMI? And it would track it over time, so you could see a difference over time. And it was so good at this for the non-gamer and non-athlete crowd that it was used in health clubs, hospitals, retirement homes, my grandma's home, your grandma's home. And there was a lot of it. And those aren't, well, I don't even know if you can read that because I think I screwed up the projector in order to get sound to play. Take my word for it, there's a lot of exercises on there. We are just so jank today. We're running our audio off of a microphone from the PC thing. The projector's all sorts of wonky.
That's MAGFest, baby.
I love it. So maybe it didn't have the best fitness value, but what about gaming value? Was it fun? Well, they didn't have it as a simulation. They had you running an obstacle course that would make, what was it, Takeshi's Castle? Was that the one? Yeah. Yeah, it would make Takeshi's Castle blush. And the activities were using the balance board and the Wii remote, so there was this kind of degree of immersion or playability that was fun and accessible. And Nintendo had a specific focus on making it fun. So Blue Ocean kind of opened up the scope. They didn't want to make a fitness thing for gamers. They wanted to make a fitness game that anybody could play. Anybody wanted to play. And it was designed to be usable by anybody. My grandma, your grandma, whatever, anyone. In fitness value, though, not a great trade-off. There were studies done specifically with Wii Fit that found most of the exercises were low intensity, not great at calorie burning, plus the way the UI was, it had a lot of interruptions. So you'd be doing one workout, okay, guess I'll sit down for 5 minutes while something loads and I have to navigate to the menu and click on the next thing. This may be hearsay, I'm going off of what the internet said. I've never played Wii Fit. But has somebody else played Wii Fit? Can you attest to that being about true? Like the UI was bad? In a radical shift, Nintendo wanted to make games fun. They wanted to make fitness games fun. Don Matrick and the Xbox Kinect just wanted to destroy the Xbox brand with the Xbox One. Oh boy, do we, yeah. So the Xbox Kinect initially launched for the Xbox 360, revised, and included with most Xbox One consoles. Most of you are under the age of 100, so you probably lived through the Xbox One disastrous launch and inability to ever recover. As a technology, though, the Kinect was so cool. I actually still have mine because it's a neat little kind of like, I've played around with like some of the cameras. It has an IR camera in there too. It's very good. There were 132 total games that were made with Kinect compatibility. Not all of them were fitness games, but the ones that were fitness games, my goodness, they went hard. They wanted Nike integration, Adidas, Zumba, Fitbit, anything that was a power player in the fitness industry or in the big data of fitness. Xbox wanted a piece of it. And that meant that there were a whole lot of very complicated games with respect to the training programs. These people are moving, I guess. Can you see that? I want to apologize, but it's not my fault. They are jumping in the air. All right. You just got to squint and pretend that you see it. And because it did whole body tracking, something that the Wii Balance Board didn't do, is it could do things like correct your form. If the game or training program told you to do a particular position for a squat, it would tell you, hey, you're not going low enough. I can tell, you cheater. You're slacking. And it had some integration features available, not perfect, but you could get your heart rate, your O2 max, a lot of the more deep fitness metrics that someone who is serious about their about being an athlete, about being a jock would want. But as a gaming system and as a game kind of platform, oh boy, was this just a lost opportunity. So this guy's Don Matrick, and he called the Xbox One not a game console. He called it, what did he call it? Like a home entertainment device?
Home entertainment.
The home entertainment system, thank you. And the very first preview, I don't remember if it was E3 or a Microsoft launch event, they showed exactly 0 games. And it had other controversy mired in it. Something about sharing games. Oh, well, if you want to share games, you download it, and then you have to lease a license to your friend through their online store, and then it has an expiration date. Sony came out, they replied, here's how you share a game with your friends. Here. Thanks. Yeah. So the Xbox One it had a lot of neat ideas, especially with fitness. But because they just dropped the ball so hard, the medicine ball, joke, so hard, the hardware was eventually phased out and no longer included with the Xbox One consoles sold at launch, or sold after launch. And I think the price was, what, $500 compared to the PS4's $400? Why would you pay that much for a console that does less and clearly doesn't care about being a gaming console? People that did fitness, maybe they got some value out of it. But people that played games, nope. There was.
Very good Killer Instinct simulator for the first 5 years I had.
Oh yeah, and the arcade version.
No,
Oh yeah, the Xbox One Killer Instinct. Yeah, that was pretty tight.
very good Killer Instinct simulator.
So they went in a different direction from Nintendo and the Wii Fit. They didn't say, we're going to make games fun and try to get people to exercise. They said, we're going to get people who exercise to play Xbox. And both of them kind of missed the mark. But they were really, really close. Close enough that I think Nintendo got it right with Ring Fit Adventure, another game I have never played, but I've watched people play, and man, it is funny. Because there's this notion out there. I have to do a time check. My timer got all messed up when I had to do a thing. Thank you. So Ring Fit Adventure. People had this idea, this kind of older idea on fitness games. Oh yeah, it's easy, because Wii Fit was easy, and on the Joy board I could just kind of shuffle back and forth, and on the Famicom Power Pad I could just kneel down and whack it. And that was not the case. It was a very simple game in the box. It was a fun, bright, colorful development that included a peripheral called the Ring-Con. Itself, as far as I know, because again, I've never played the game, has no, it's just a plastic ring with some foam on it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you slide the Joy-Cons in.
The thing that makes it compute is the Joy-Con itself. So every single Switch is already capable of playing this game. Every single, not Switch Lite, I should say. But every single Switch that's sold, and there's been at least a dozen, is capable of playing this game. And it's a follow-up to Nintendo's quality of life program that they didn't really bless as a program until Wii Fit, but it was sort of their ethos for a long time. With the SNES Exertainment, with the Famicom Power Pad, this idea that we can be playing games and be healthy. And there were 15 million units sold so far, ranks 11 on Switch all-time sales. Well, what about fitness? So yeah, it's an okay game, I think, maybe. Does it have any fitness value? Well, there's fewer exercises available than on the Wii Fit, but they're just better. It's good. These are halfway decent exercises, and they do a division by muscle group. There is also a built-in heart rate monitor function from the Joy-Con. I don't think it's marathon accurate. I wouldn't go to the doctor with this. But for tracking your own progress, it's perfectly fine. And for people that aren't used to doing this in a fitness environment or not used to this idea of tracking their heart rate, this was a great way to start. And this idea of accessibility that I said before, this game is awesome when it comes to accessibility for a number of reasons. One, it didn't require an expensive peripheral. The Wii Fit peripheral was like meh, but it didn't require a $700 or $800 stationary bike. It didn't require a $150 camera that would eventually become a paperweight because developers would no longer support it. It was something that every Switch could play. And it was accessible even in the human sense. Part of the game is that you have to select certain exercises as you go down this adventure. If you are temporarily unable to use your legs, maybe you sprained your ankle, okay, just don't do the leg exercises. You can still play the game. You live in an apartment and you have a downstairs neighbor and you really don't want to annoy them. Instead of running in place, the game gave you an option. The default thing is, I'm going to run in place, and that's how I get my player thing to move. But if you lived in an apartment or you had a newborn baby and you didn't want to wake him up, do squats instead. And that's how you got your character to move. So there were a couple of different ways to play the game without compromising the experience or the output of the game. As a game, it's kind of cool. It's, as far as I know, the first and maybe only RPG fitness game. It's not like Final Fantasy VII RPG. But it does have things like consumables, equipment that can buff your stats. It's got enemies with HP meters, and it's fun. It's a fun game. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to answer that question, not me telling you that it's fun. I still had the question, is it fun? I've never played it. Maybe you have. Have you played it? Is it fun? It's fun? Nice. Do you think it's got fitness value?
Yeah.
Let's see if some of your favorite VTubers agree. YouTubers and VTubers.
Make sure your back is straight. Heart rate is 143.
You have water in a towel head. Impressive detail. I like the dynamic warm-up because typically when we do like a class here, the first thing we do is dynamic warm-up. That's very detailed.
Oh man, this is really tiring. Oh my god.
Calves are getting pretty swole.
That is brilliant.
Hey, Paul, come on, push. Push. 7, you got this. 6. All right. 5 more. Come on, Scott. Come on, Scott. Come on. Hey, that's 6, buddy. Now, 2 more. All right. Now that's on. Hey, you still got more workouts to do, man.
Okay, I didn't realize that's how you're supposed to rest. Guys, suffer fish! Can you see it? That's how I feel.
My abs can block a nuclear bomb. Guys, it's starting to feel like an actual workout.
So, Ring Fit Adventure. Since I booted up the game, it's been 47 minutes. I'm literally dripping with sweat. According to my Apple Watch, I burned 484 active calories, 590 in total. My average heart rate 140 BPM, which is fantastic. As a professional for fitness, what would you say for this?
More impressive than I expected.
I put that montage together at 6 o'clock this morning because I had a vision in my head. I think my favorite part about that, I don't know who any one of those people or VTubers are. Yeah. I just typed in Ring Fit embarrassing into YouTube.
Like your music choice.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a jogging countdown from Smash Brothers Ultimate. Don't sue me, Nintendo. So to sum up the Convergent era, I think Ring Fit Adventure is an awesome capstone to this era. It had the lowest barrier to entry for gamers, for non-gamers to get into fitness, and for fitness people to get into gaming. The last guy who talked there who said, hey, this is kind of a surprising workout, that was a professional, a person who gets paid money, real dollars, to tell people to pick stuff up and put it down. And because it was a fun game, it was popular and it wasn't boring. It didn't have the problem of making, it solved the problem of making fitness fun. It wasn't boring. Not that that was ever a problem for fitness people, but it solved it. And I think this is the most critical part for the capstone of the Convergent era. It was one of the most studied games with respect to, do we get favorable fitness outcomes from people using this game? And there have been multiple studies done of people that go to the gym and just go to the gym, and people who only play Ring Fit. And they found better outcomes in people who just played Ring Fit than people who just went to the gym. My theory is because the people who just went to the gym, they didn't find it exciting. It was boring. So they're not going to feel invested or compelled to have a good time or try hard if they're not enjoying it. Why do something if it's not fun? Seated crunches, you guys are not done working out yet? So I'm going to show you one that also you can kind of do in any panel that you're in. Go ahead and sit on the very edge of your seat. This is kind of like calf raises is lazy man's leg day, even though I respect the heck out of calf raises. This is like lazy man sit-ups. From the edge of your seat, plant your feet down, and then lean back, but keep your core tight, your lower back tight. You feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? And then come back up. And you can do this in any panel that you're sitting in, and the panelist will be like, what are you doing? Yeah! Again, it's my dream that I'm like just going around MAGFest and I see people like hopping up and down or sitting in panels, doing some seated crunches. That's my dream for this year. Again, to promote this idea that if you want to get started on your own fitness journey, you can do it right now. You don't have to wait for something. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment. So if that was the Convergent era, what comes next? Synthesis. Yes. Why does it come next? I don't know. I'm making this up. I'm writing the textbook, so that's what the test is on. And what does this synthesis mean? It means that a game isn't just a fitness game, and it's not just fitness. It's something new, and it's both. It's something that doesn't divide people. There is no semblance of jock and nerd anymore. Maybe there is. Let's be real, there is. Culturally, we're still there, and that's kind of a shame. That who's that? Like the 13-year-old kid that like destroyed Tetris or something like that? Yeah, the news anchor said something like, "Oh, get a life." Yeah, let's see you beat Tetris. So that still happens, but it's becoming less and less common, and you can tell because of the response. The critical response for that person who insulted a 13-year-old who did something that no other human has ever done before was, "You're rude and kind of a jerk for that." It's this idea that we're not unblurring lines, and we're not defining them sharper so that you fit into one box or the other. It's that we can be more than one thing. I can be a Puerto Rican, and a white kid, and a gamer, and a jock, and a poet, and a lover. And a musician, and someone who likes to cook. I can be all of those things because many things can be true. I can be anything, and so can you. That was my TED Talks mic drop moment. But we're not done. I wanted to, you know what, now it's ruined. Never mind. No, so a lot of people asked me when I said I was going to do this, I said, do you have any questions about what would you want to know if you were a first-time gym goer, somebody who is bicep curious, so to speak? I've been sitting on that one all day. Well, maybe you already did. Maybe you already did get started because you're here. Because you did a couple of calf raises and seated crunches. Maybe now you want to do a little bit more. Well, you can. It's up to you. I would say be careful with what you expose yourself to online because there are still plenty of toxic communities out there. Curate your online experience. There's a lot of good fitness advice out there. There's a lot of bad fitness advice out there. In person, it's a little bit easier to discern. Mr. Rogers said, in a crisis or in an emergency, look for the helpers. My absolute favorite thing to do when I'm traveling and I go to a gym, I look for the biggest person around, the absolute most monstrous sized person there, because they're the ones that are going to help me. They're the ones who are also, they're obsessed with fitness in the same way that, I don't know, some people might be obsessed with like Legos. And they're enthusiastic about it. They want to share that passion with you. And I go back to that idea that you don't have to start perfectly. You don't have to have this plan. You could just kind of go. My very first 10 days into my fitness journey, I just showed up to the gym. I didn't lift a single weight. I didn't do a single thing of cardio. I just went. And I watched, and I figured out what I wanted to do. I showed up. That's it. That's how I started. I didn't do a thing. And there is one more exercise I have for you to kick off your fitness journey. And indulge my ego a little bit. Stand up for me. If you can. You don't have to. Put your arms out. And then in front of you. And do that repeatedly. Give yourselves a hand.